My name is Cynthia E. Talent. I'm 30 years old, and at 5:17 that morning, I was standing barefoot on an empty beach in Mexico, watching the sky turn from bruised purple to orange. My phone was back in the hotel room. I didn't need it with me. I already knew what the last message said. Don't wait up. Don't make a scene. We'll talk tomorrow. 10 words, a command, a dismissal, and a promise that consequences could wait until Cole was finished enjoying himself. The vacation had been my idea. For 6 months, I had been buried in a high-stakes architectural project. Late nights, permit problems, structural revisions, clients changing their minds after approving plans. Cole and I had started feeling less like an engaged couple and more like polite roommates. I noticed the boredom in his eyes whenever I talked about work. So I booked the resort. 7 days in Mexico. No emails, no deadlines, just us. When I showed him the confirmation, his whole face lit up. You did this for us? I miss us. Cole kissed me. It's perfect, Cynthia. For 2 days, it actually was. We swam, drank ridiculous cocktails, left the balcony doors open at night so we could hear the ocean. I started believing maybe the distance between us had only been stress. Then Vanessa arrived. We met her at the swim-up bar on day 3. She was tanned, polished, and dressed like every moment of her life had been designed for social media. She noticed Cole immediately. Not many men can make plain swim trunks look expensive, she said. Cole laughed, actually blushed. Vanessa barely acknowledged me. Within 20 minutes, we knew she supposedly worked in venture capital, spent weekends on yachts, had friends in Monaco, and was staying in a private villa with an infinity pool. Cole was fascinated. She just goes places, he whispered later. No overthinking, no spreadsheets. I have a job, he sighed. That's what I mean. Everything with you is responsibility. That word lodged under my skin. By the resort's white party that night, it became worse. Cole wore a white linen shirt. Vanessa appeared in a backless dress and poured him champagne before I could even reach our table. I watched her whisper against his ear, watched his hand settle on her waist, watched him laugh the way he used to laugh with me. Finally, I walked over. Cole, can we talk? He followed me several steps away, already irritated. What? The touching, the flirting. This isn't okay. He rolled his eyes. God, Cynthia. Relax. She's practically hanging off you. She's fun. I'm your fiancé. And you're being heavy again. That word hurt more than I expected. Heavy? Vanessa has energy. She's spontaneous. She doesn't turn everything into a planning meeting. I'm asking for basic respect. No, you're making a scene. He glanced back toward Vanessa, then at me. Maybe stop being boring for one night. He turned and walked away. Vanessa met his eyes over his shoulder and smiled. Then she pulled him onto the dance floor. His hands went around her waist. Her body pressed against his. And suddenly, I understood that they weren't hiding anything. They wanted me to see. I went back to the room alone. 1 hour passed, then 2. At 3:42 a.m., my phone buzzed. Cole, don't wait up. Don't make a scene. We'll talk tomorrow. I read it twice. Then I left the phone on the bed and walked down to the beach. Now, the sun was rising. The knot inside my chest was gone. In its place was something colder. Clarity. Cole had told me not to make a scene. He had no idea how completely I intended to obey him. By the time the sun fully cleared the horizon, I had made my decision. There would be no screaming, no confrontation in the lobby, no humiliating scene at breakfast. Cole had told me not to make one. Fine. I walked back toward the resort with sand clinging to my feet and a strange emptiness inside me. Staff members were already arranging loungers beside the pool. Somewhere, plates clinked as breakfast service began. Our room looked exactly as I had left it. The bed was rumpled from where I had slept alone. Cole's white shirt from the party lay on the floor. His shoes were beside the balcony door. Everything that had looked intimate 24 hours earlier now looked like abandoned property. I opened my suitcase. Packing took less than 10 minutes. Clothes, laptop, chargers, passport, everything that belonged to me. Then I did something even I hadn't expected. I packed Cole's things too. Not because I was taking them. Because I wanted every loose thread contained. His clothes went into his suitcase. His toiletries into the side pocket. I zipped it closed and placed it near the door with his backpack. Then I showered. Hot water ran over me until the salt, sweat, and smell of last night disappeared. At 8:07 a.m., the lock clicked. Cole stepped inside. He looked exhausted but strangely pleased with himself. His hair was disheveled. His shirt was wrinkled. And when he walked past me, I caught the faint scent of Vanessa's perfume. He stopped when he noticed the luggage. "You're up early." "I've been awake." He opened the minibar, took out a bottle of water and drank half of it without speaking. Then came the performance. "Look, Cynthia." I waited. "About last night." His tone had that rehearsed softness people use when they expect forgiveness before they've even apologized. "It just happened." I said nothing. He shifted his weight. "Vanessa is just different. Different. She showed me a world you could never give me." The sentence landed exactly where he intended it to. He continued. "It's not really about money." Of course it wasn't. It's about energy, spontaneity, feeling alive. I looked at him. For 4 years, I had helped him through job changes, family problems, anxiety, and every ordinary crisis adulthood throws at people. Now stability had become my crime. "Aren't you going to say anything?" he asked. I stood, picked up his suitcase, held it toward him. "No." His expression changed. "What?" "You made your choice." He stared at the suitcase like it insulted him. "So that's it?" "Yes." "You're just leaving?" I set the suitcase down. "You left last night." His face tightened. "That's not what happened." "It's exactly what happened." He took a step toward me. "Cynthia, come on. At least fight for us." "For us?" I almost laughed, but even that felt like too much effort. "You told me not to make a scene." "I didn't mean, so I'm not." I picked up my suitcase and backpack. Cole's confidence finally cracked. "Wait, you're seriously leaving me here?" "The room is paid through Saturday." "What am I supposed to do?" I looked at him for one long second. "Ask Vanessa." Then I walked out. The door shut behind me with a soft click. At the front desk, I explained that I was checking out early. "I've paid my personal charges. The room remains available for Mr. Bennett through Saturday. Any additional expenses are his." The receptionist hesitated. "Of course, Ms. Talent." I handed over my key card. "I hope the rest of your trip was enjoyable." I gave her a faint smile. "It was educational." I booked the first flight home. On the plane, I stared through the window as Mexico disappeared beneath the clouds. The woman who had flown down there believing she could fix a 4-year relationship no longer existed. By the time I landed, my sadness had hardened into logistics. First, I blocked Cole. Phone, Instagram, WhatsApp, everything. Then I called a locksmith. While I waited, I walked through our apartment. Our apartment. No. Mine. His photographs. His books. His clothes. His expensive coffee machine he barely knew how to use. I found moving boxes in the storage closet and began packing. Nothing destroyed. Nothing thrown away. Everything folded, catalogued, removed. By sunset, Cole's entire physical presence had been reduced to 6 boxes. The locksmith replaced the deadbolt. The old key stopped meaning anything. The next morning, I rented a storage unit 10 minutes away. I moved every box there, placed the access code and key inside an envelope, and left it with the building superintendent. "Cole may come asking for this." The super nodded. "No questions." 2 days later, my phone rang from an unfamiliar number. Cole's sister. "Cynthia, what the hell did you do?" I leaned back in my chair. "What do you mean?" "He says you abandoned him in Mexico, changed the locks, and stole his stuff." His things are in storage. You left him alone. I almost corrected her, then decided not to. He can explain why. You're being unbelievably cold. No. I looked around the quiet apartment. For the first time, I'm being clear. Then I ended the call, blocked the number, and let the silence return. The silence lasted. Not the suffocating kind I had felt in Mexico, but something cleaner, a quiet that belonged entirely to me. With Cole's things gone, the apartment felt almost too large. Every room carried an empty outline where his habits used to be. His shoes by the door, his coffee mug in the sink, his voice complaining that I worked too much. I decided not to fill the space with grief. I filled it with myself. My life became painfully simple. Body, mind, work. I joined a gym 3 blocks from my office. Nothing glamorous. No scented towels, no smoothie counter, no influencer classes like the ones Cole loved. Just iron, sweat, and people minding their own business. I went every evening after work. At first, I could barely finish a full session without thinking about Mexico. Vanessa's hand on Cole. His message, don't make a scene. But physical exhaustion had a strange honesty to it. Weights didn't manipulate you. A barbell didn't tell you that your pain was too serious. You either lifted it or you didn't. Slowly, the anger left my body. At home, I pulled my old acoustic guitar from the back of the closet. Dust covered the case. I hadn't played seriously in years. Cole used to complain when I practiced the same section repeatedly. Can't you play something you actually know? So eventually, I stopped. Now I sat alone on the couch, fingertips aching as I relearned old chords. Badly. Beautifully. The apartment wasn't silent anymore. It sounded like me. Work changed too. All the energy I had once spent reading Cole's moods suddenly had somewhere useful to go. I stopped checking my phone during meetings. Stopped wondering whether he was bored. Stopped rushing home because he had decided we never did anything anymore. I became sharper. 3 weeks after Mexico, my boss, David, stopped me after a presentation. Cynthia. I turned. The Shahara Tower revisions. My stomach tightened automatically. What about them? They're excellent. I blinked. The client loves them. They said your redesign solved 3 problems their previous consultants couldn't touch. I smiled. Thank you. David folded his arms. There's a principal position opening next quarter. I stared at him. I'm putting your name forward. For years, that kind of news would have sent me straight to Cole. I would have bought champagne, waited for his approval. That afternoon, I went home, poured myself 1 glass of wine, and toasted myself. It felt strange. Then, it felt good. The first update about Cole came through my friend Ben. He was still connected to some of Cole's social circle, despite my repeated instructions that I didn't want information. We were watching a game at a neighborhood bar when he glanced at me. So, you heard? I kept my eyes on the television. Heard what? About Cole. I sighed. Ben. I know, but this one is insane. I finally looked at him. He leaned closer. Vanessa was fake. What does that mean? The name. The number she gave him. Most of the lifestyle. I frowned. The villa? Day access? The venture capital job? Nobody can verify it. The yacht stories? Ben laughed once. Apparently, she has a whole routine. Luxury resorts, borrowed access, rich-looking clothes, vague job descriptions. She meets people who want to believe the fantasy. I sat quietly. And Cole? She ghosted him the morning after. I raised an eyebrow. That fast? Fake phone number. Gone. Ben took another drink. Apparently, he woke up convinced they were starting some glamorous new life together. By breakfast, she'd disappeared. For a moment, I pictured him in that resort room. The same room where he had looked at me and said she showed him a world I could never give him. Apparently, she hadn't given him anything. Ben continued. He came home expecting to get back into the apartment. I said nothing. Found the locks changed. I looked at him. And his stuff? He got the storage information. Good. Ben shook his head. His friends aren't exactly sympathetic. People know what happened now. I felt no satisfaction, no rush of justice, just distance. Ben. Yeah? I really don't want updates. He studied me for a second. You're serious. Completely. He nodded. Got it. I turned back toward the game. Cole's collapse wasn't my victory. It was simply the consequence of a choice that no longer had anything to do with me. For the first time, I understood the difference. I didn't need him to suffer. I needed him to become irrelevant. And slowly, he was. For almost a month, peace held. 30 uninterrupted days of work, exercise, guitar, and silence. I was sleeping better. My body felt stronger. David had officially submitted my name for the principal position, and for the first time in years, I could picture a future that wasn't built around keeping someone else entertained. Then my phone buzzed one evening while I was reviewing blueprints at the kitchen table. Unknown number. Cynthia, it's Cole. I'm back. We need to talk. I made a huge mistake. I read it once. Nothing happened. No racing pulse. No sudden anger. No temptation to ask what happened with Vanessa. It felt like reading a weather warning for a city I no longer lived in. I blocked the number and returned to the drawings. A week later, another unfamiliar number called. I let it go to voicemail. For almost an hour, I ignored the notification. Eventually, curiosity, or maybe the desire to know exactly what kind of apology he had constructed, made me listen. Cole's voice sounded thin. Hey, it's me. A pause. Please, Cynthia. Just talk to me. His breathing shook. She lied about everything. Her name, her job, the villa. Everything. I was stupid. Another pause. I understand now. I almost stopped the recording there. Then he said the part that mattered. You're the real one. You're stable. You're good. I should have appreciated that. I stared at the phone. The real one. Not, I love you. Not, I betrayed you. Not, I humiliated you and treated you like a consolation prize. I was simply real, compared with the fantasy that had collapsed. It was an insult disguised as remorse. I deleted the voicemail, blocked the number. Silence again. For another week. Then another message arrived. Please. 4 years has to mean something. Blocked. Another. I know you're angry, but Vanessa manipulated me. Blocked. Another. You don't understand what she did to me. That one almost made me laugh. Apparently, I was supposed to care about how badly the woman he chose had treated him after he had used her existence to humiliate me. I stopped reading after that. Unknown number meant block. No exceptions. By then, the gym had become my favorite part of the day. There was something satisfying about measurable progress. 5 more pounds, 1 more repetition, a faster mile. Unlike relationships, weights didn't move the goalposts and then accuse you of failing. One Tuesday evening, I finished the hardest workout I'd had in months. My shirt was damp with sweat. My legs felt heavy. My head felt clear. I walked into the cool parking lot with my gym bag over one shoulder and headphones covering my ears. I was halfway to my car when I saw someone leaning against the hood of an old sedan. At first, I didn't recognize him. Then, he lifted his head. Cole. He looked nothing like the man who had stood beside Vanessa in Mexico. His hair was longer and unkempt. His face looked thinner. Dark circles shadowed his eyes. He wore an old sweatshirt I remembered buying him years earlier. For a moment, we simply stared at each other. I pulled my headphones down. Cynthia. His voice sounded raw. I didn't answer. He pushed away from the car. You can't keep ignoring me forever. I looked around the parking lot. Several people were walking toward their cars. Security cameras covered the entrance. Good. We were together for 4 years, he continued. Still, I said nothing. His composure began slipping almost immediately. Say something. I adjusted the strap of my gym bag. What do you want? His face crumpled slightly. To talk. We're talking. No, I mean really talk. He took another step. I didn't move. I lost everything. His voice cracked. My friends barely speak to me. I don't have the apartment. Vanessa disappeared. She made me look like an idiot. I watched him. There it was again. What Vanessa had done to him. Not what he had done to me. Cole wiped at his eyes. I know I hurt you. Finally. But I wasn't myself. And there it went. I was confused. She got inside my head. She made everything seem exciting. You seemed pretty certain in Mexico. He flinched. I know. You told me she could give you a world I never could. I was wrong. Yes. His eyes widened slightly as if he hadn't expected agreement. Then the tears started. I lost my home. I lost my friends. He looked directly at me. I lost you. I remained still. Cole's voice became desperate. Please, Cynthia. Look at me. I was looking at him. That was the problem. I could see him perfectly now. Not through 4 years of memories. Not through love. Not through the person I hoped he would become. Just Cole. A man waiting for the woman he discarded to rescue him from the consequences. And for the first time, I knew exactly what I wanted to say. Cole stood in front of me with tears running down his face, waiting for the version of me he remembered. The woman who would soften. The woman who would reach for him. The woman who would turn his pain into her responsibility. That woman was gone. Can I help you? I asked. His face changed. It was such a simple sentence, polite enough to say to a stranger asking for directions, and somehow it broke him more effectively than anger ever could. Help me. His voice cracked. Cynthia, look at me. I am. I lost everything. I heard you. My apartment. My friends. Vanessa humiliated me. He pressed a hand against his chest. I'm barely sleeping. I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. For 1 second, I remembered every night I had sat beside him during hard seasons. Job problems, family arguments, anxiety. Every time he had needed grounding, I had become the ground beneath him. Cole took a small step forward. I need you. There it was. Not I love you. Not I'm sorry for what I did. I need you. I shook my head. No. His expression twisted. That's it? Yes. You're not even going to ask if I'm okay? I can see you're not okay. And you don't care? The accusation arrived exactly on schedule. I exhaled slowly. I'm sorry you're hurting. His eyes widened. That's all you have to say? What were you expecting? I don't know. Something human. For the first time, irritation touched me. Human. He nodded furiously. You were always the good one. The loyal one. You always cared. And you thought that meant there was no limit. That's not what I'm saying. It's exactly what you're saying. His sadness sharpened into anger. So now you're punishing me. No. You changed the locks. You threw my things into storage. You disappeared. You blocked everyone. You told me not to make a scene. He stopped. The words seemed to physically reach him. I continued quietly. That was your instruction, remember? Cole looked away. Don't wait up. Don't make a scene. His jaw tightened. So I didn't. That's not fair. I accepted your decision. You abandoned me in another country. You spent the night with another woman and came back telling me she could give you a life I never could. He opened his mouth. Nothing came out. You wanted me to fight, I said. You wanted me to yell, beg, compete with Vanessa, prove that I deserved you. His eyes dropped. But the woman who would have done that? I paused. You left her in that resort room. Cole looked back at me. For the first time, genuine fear entered his expression. You really don't care anymore. I thought about the question, then answered honestly. No. His face collapsed. That's impossible. It isn't. We had 4 years. We did. You loved me. I did. Then how can you just turn it off? I didn't. My voice remained calm. You turned it off one piece at a time. I just stopped trying to turn it back on. He stared at me as if he were finally realizing that regret did not reverse time. I don't know who you are anymore, he whispered. A faint smile touched my mouth. That makes two of us. His face hardened again. You've become cold. No. I adjusted the strap of my gym bag. I've become unavailable to you. I started toward my car. Cole followed several steps. Cynthia, please. I unlocked the door. What do I have to do? Move on. I don't want to. That's not my problem anymore. He looked stunned by the sentence. Maybe because for 4 years, almost every problem of his had eventually become mine. Not this one. I opened the car door. Behind me, his voice cracked one final time. So, we're really done? I looked at him over the roof of the car. We've been done. Then I got inside. I didn't check the rearview mirror as I pulled away. I didn't need to see him shrinking behind me. My future was in front of the windshield. 3 months later, David called me into his office and offered me the principal position. I accepted. The guitar stayed beside my couch. The apartment remained peaceful. My life kept getting bigger. Sometimes people think the opposite of love is hate. It isn't. Hate still watches. Hate still waits. Hate still cares what happens next. The opposite of love is reaching the point where the person who once controlled your entire emotional world becomes nothing more than someone standing in a parking lot you've already driven away from. Cole wanted me to make a scene. Instead, I vanished. And when he finally came looking for the woman he had discarded, she no longer existed.